Murdo, thanks for sparing some time this morning. Wanted to talk initially about the crowdfunder because that it reached its £20,000 target relatively quickly, and you've gone on to hit just over 23 in total.
We have. Yep. No, it's been a very good campaign. If I'm being honest, when we first opened, I mean, I've never done a crowdfunder before,
Yep.
and myself and Jamie Heslop, our expectations were when this opened up, it would go quite daft. It didn't happen. Come about the second, third day. If I'm being honest, I was a wee bit despondent. Yeah, and then for some reason, all of a sudden, it just went. Yeah, I mean the way a crowdfunder has been described to me was you'll get a lift at the start,
Yep.
it'll go
Starts off.
soft in the middle, and then you'll get a lift at the end again. Now we seem to have went and peaked at the middle, and then after that it's just been bits and pieces.
Because when we spoke back in March, you were sort of talking about the £20,000, meaning that you can reinvest in equipment and basically secure your future.
Uh,
So you must be pleased that that security is kind of in place now.
I mean the initial target of 20,000 was to build an extension to the hatchery. Now obviously we've reached our target, so that extension, the steel work and everything for that has now been ordered. But,
Brilliant.
I mean that part of it will probably be, well, it should be built within 2 to 3 months. And the stretch target that I put on was mainly to try and, I mean, obviously if we've got extra space, we're going to have extra tanks, which means extra, fish feeders and all sorts of different things. So the stretch target was basically to try and raise a bit extra to buy some extra equipment and probably literature for our boards for the education side.
Because you were talking again when we spoke last time, you were talking about the fact that after the number of years you've been running, some of your equipment's beginning to get to the stage that's needing replaced. Um,
That's right. Yeah,
and that's a costly exercise when that sort of thing needs to be done.
it is. I mean, some of our equipment. Well, we've been running since 2010, so some of the equipment is certainly 15 and 16-year old. And the problem is some of the equipment, if it lets you down, it could ruin a whole season.
Yep.
So just for an example, an electric fishing box for catching broodstock, it's only used for 3 weeks in the year. If that lets you down at that period of time and you can't get a replacement, that could be your whole season wiped out.
Yep.
So, I
Yep.
mean, all these things have to be looked at, and it makes you kind of volatile in a sense.
It does very much so. We're relying on our equipment all the time.
And so basically, I mean, we're out just now, we've got some grant funding applications out there to look to buy a new electric fishing box. The old one still works fine, but one of these days it's going to let us down. So, having a new one sitting there means that, fair enough, you might lose half an hour, but you're not going to lose your whole season.
And that's crucial. I mean,
Uh,
the other thing I wanted to touch on with you, because when I came up and I came out the day when the river was opened and the award was being made and what have you, I was
yeah,
chatting to some of the other people who manage other rivers around southwest Scotland, and
yeah,
they were talking about the struggles they were having.
mhm,
And then last week there was a piece appeared in the Daily Telegraph, which was talking about what it described as a catastrophic decline in wild salmon being caught. I mean, I think
yeah,
if you go back to 2010, when obviously you were established, it says there were 111,000 wild salmon caught in Scottish rivers. This year, that's dropped to the lowest level since 1952, and only 28,000 have been caught.
yeah.
I mean, what's your take on that? I mean, what's kind of going on there?
Well, to start with, Stuart, the reason we set up the hatchery is because we could see this happening. I mean, personally, I could see this happening 30 years ago. In the last 10 years, I have been basically putting it out there that if we're not careful and we don't do something soon, some of these rivers will become void of salmon. It's not new. I think it'd be nearly 10 years ago where the salmon numbers really dropped off a cliff, especially in Dumfries and Galloway. I mean, like your Nest, the Annan, I mean, these rivers, you go back 10 years ago, these rivers were teeming with fish.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, I was fishing in it. And the first year I was on a certain beat, I'll not name the beat, but the pool I was on was a pool maybe 500 yards long. And you would have said there was hundreds of salmon in that pool.
Yep.
I mean, those salmon jumping all over the place. The next year I went back, yeah, there was salmon in it, but nothing like it. The third year I went back, we hardly seen a fish. And
Right, okay.
this is at the same time of year, same conditions. So, I mean, as I'm saying, in the last 10 years, the decline, as they describe it, is catastrophic.
Yep.
The reason for it, probably it's going to be a multitude of things. I mean, there'll be certain factors that will affect every river. Like the Cree, it'll have its own set of problems compared to the Net. But like the common issues that we all have will be predation, pollution in some form or another, whether it's farm effluent or whether it's acidification. It could be some of the rivers up north is like some contraceptives in the water.
Right, okay.
Obviously, females taking contraceptive, it's coming back out of them in the urine. Urine's going through and back into the river system. Predation is a big issue in all rivers. And that's fish-eating birds and seals. And in some rivers further up north, it is dolphins out in the estuary.
Oh, right, okay.
Seals are a massive issue. I mean,
Right.
seals now are travelling sometimes 40 miles up into fresh water.
Wow.
Which, I mean, a seal basically is a sea mammal.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
So, I mean, they're going 40 miles up the river. The reason they're doing that is to feed, which obviously means that the feed out in the sea is not enough for them now.
Yeah, they're not finding what they need elsewhere, so they're having to travel to find
Yeah.
it.
So you've got predation. Poaching nowadays, I don't think is a massive issue because one of the biggest problems with poaching now is where do you get rid of a poached salmon?
Right.
I mean, years ago, you could have sold a salmon to any hotel.
Mm-hmm.
You could have walked to the back door and sold them a salmon, and it wasn't a problem. Now it's all got to be licensed, and obviously hotels have to have traceability.
Yep.
And they obviously can't do that with a poached salmon. So poaching is not an issue.
I mean, one of the things, again, I was just doing some reading around the subject, and the salmon farming was being sort of coming under fire for sort of, genetic dilution. And I know we spoke the last time about how
Yeah.
careful you are about making
Yeah.
sure you keep that genetic diversity in the salmon that you're producing and encouraging.
We certainly try and give it a good mix to try and give it a bit of diversity. Maybe not so much us down here, but some of the rivers up north will be well diluted by escapee farm salmon.
Right.
I mean, they will try and tell you that these can't breed, but I mean, there's a guy that Bob Kindness that runs the Carden Hatchery. He's actually caught male farm salmon that are, they've been in the breeding colours and they're producing milk.
Yep.
The milk's obviously sperm. So they can breed with wild wild fish. You go back years ago, they did actually talk about 1 in 4 wild salmon had the genes from farm salmon.
Okay.
And that's going
Okay.
back a lot of years ago. So, I mean, you can imagine that's even more diluted now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that's only going to get worse and worse every
It
year.
is.
Yeah. So you are, and again, we talked the last time I saw you um, about the fact that the work you've done since 2010 has really sustained the Cree. It's not grown the population in the Cree, but it's kept it kind of steady. Are there many other organisations like yours in other parts of the country kind of doing the same work, or are you kind of ploughing a bit of a lonely furrow?
No, there is other rivers up north. There's some approach in a different manner.
Right?
Some of them will do just eggs, putting eggs into artificial reds. The kind of new trend this now seems to be catching smolts that are heading back to sea
Mhm.
and rearing them to adulthood and then putting them back into a burn. Personally, I'm not sure how that will work when you rear something in a sea tank, and then take it back to fresh water, throw it into a burn, and I think firstly expect it to stay there,
Yeah.
and then to breed. I'm not sure. Plus, with what I seen last year, the ones that were reared like that were very small,
Hmm.
which will produce small number of eggs, and the eggs will be very small as well.
At least with this money that you've managed to get together, the future is looking bright for the Cree anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this extension, this money that's building the extension. I mean, obviously, we'll thank the North Atlantic Salmon Fund again because they match fund they match funded 10,000 of that. That was through the Ori Award, which we won at the back end of last year.
Yep.
I mean, they will continue doing that award in future years for community-led projects to help restore salmon. Which, I mean, without the Ori Award this year, I don't know if what we are doing now would have been possible.
It's an awful lot of fundraising to have to do on your own.
I mean, we're not finished yet. I mean, that 23,673 will not cover it all,
Mhm.
but it's going to cover the big bulk of it.
Yep.
You know, and I say without Dory, I mean, it would have been a big ask.
But I
You
suppose the Ori Award not just gave you that additional money from the match funding from the crowdfunder, but it also gave you a fair bit of publicity and recognition for what you're doing, and that's important when you're trying to raise cash.
oh, I mean, the recognition. I mean, over the last few years, I mean, we have become more and more recognised. I mean, even some of our committee members there, they go away fishing other places, and
Yep.
we seem to be the everybody's talking about this. You know,
Yep.
everybody's talking about what the Cree's doing. You know
Mhm.
how successful it is, and so even myself, when I go up to Aberdeen, I meet people I've never met before, and without even saying anything myself, sometimes they'll say, "Aye, we watch the Cree," and that. I say, "Oh, it's me that runs that." Uh, but so I mean, I'll be quite honest with you. It's put Newton Stewart well and truly on the map.
Mhm.
Aye, well and truly. I mean, there's a lot of people. Well, you'll know yourself. A lot of people don't know who Newton Stewart is. The recognition, any recognition is good. It's good
And, you,
publicity.
and what also was clear back in March was that you've got a lot of very dedicated people behind you. You know, lots of people with a passion for the river, a passion for fishing, and a passion for what you're doing, and that's great to see as well.
Aye, no, we have a great following, and we have a great bunch of supporters that support it. Not just financially, but financially, volunteers, and some people will donate. Obviously, like cottages for raffles.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly can't complain about the support we get.
And the other thing that you raised and it was one of those things I'd never really thought about, is that, a successful river, a well-stocked river, is good for the local economy because that's encouraging people to come and fish and come and visit and come and stay and come and spend their money in the area.
Well, that's right. I mean, again, when we go back to the sides of Newton Stewart and you look down the main street, Newton Stewart needs all the help it can get.
Very, very different from when I was a youngster and used to visit.
Oh,
It
I
was
mean,
thriving.
without getting into it too much, I mean, the main street in Newton Stewart looks tired.
Yep.
So it definitely needs this input. You know, I mean, we're not talking millions of pounds, but we're talking thousands of pounds, that's coming into the local economy.
Yep.
I mean, to lose the anglers, to lose salmon, yeah, I mean, it's got a big impact on even the garages that sell fuel.
Yeah.
And these guys that do come and stay for a week and bring their wives, they're eating out all the time. They're going to the wee boutiques and, the missus will go to the garden centre or whatever. So,
Yep.
it's amazing how much that spread of money is spread round.
As I say, congratulations on what you've raised, and in a few months' time, maybe sort of come back and catch up and see how things are progressing and developing.
Aye, no, we're certainly going to try and keep folk updated on what we've done.